On today's show, we'll preview the Leafs in Washington. As always, we'll go through our 3 keys to victory, detail the expected lineup changes, and I got a stat about the Caps that will blow your mind, Dave. And the NHL debuting its Frenzy, the Frozen Frenzy on ESPN today. We'll tell you all about it. All that more coming up on today's edition of the Locked On Leafs podcast, part of Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day.
You're Locked On Maple Leafs, your daily podcast on the Toronto Maple Leafs. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hello and welcome into the Locked On Leafs podcast, a daily Maple Leaf-centric podcast hosted by myself, Mike DiStefano, and my co-host, Dave Morassutti. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. What's going on, Dave? How you doing today?
I'm good. Apparently, I need to bring a little more energy to the podcast. I saw the comments.
Yeah. You got to bring the energy today, buddy. Got to bring the energy.
I am stoked.
Well, speaking of being stoked, so tonight's going to be a fun game, obviously, with the Leafs and Washington. We'll get to that in a moment. But I'm also pretty stoked to see what this Frozen Frenzy is all about. ESPN, they've kind of turned this into their baby, and it's going to be somewhat of an equivalent to the NFL's Red Zone, where they're just kind of going to go from game to game, play to play. Oh, this team's on a power play. Let's check in to see, Austin Matthews, see if they can score tonight, or Connor Bedard on a power play. Let's go see what's going on there. Sidney Crosby and Gino Malkin connect on a great goal. We'll watch it here. Like, that's kind of what we're going to be seeing tonight. And I'm excited. Like, it's the first time that I can recall in forever that we've seen all 32 teams playing on the same night that wasn't like a Saturday. Like, this doesn't happen very often, and it's going to be a special treat. You stoked to see what this Frozen Frenzy is all about?
I mean, I'm a huge fan of Red Zone. It's the greatest thing that the NFL Network put together. I think Sportsnet did something similar, not exactly similar, back when they called ice surfing, where they kind of were doing different games and things. But like, this is going to be specifically like just looking at games. And I love the idea. It's going to be tougher for hockey because hockey plays are it happens so quick, right? In football, it's a little easier to say, all right, let's go to this game and things like that. It's a little easier to navigate that, but I give ESPN credit for doing this. My only complaint, doing this on a Tuesday night.
Wow.
You can get this on a Saturday night, the biggest night usually for hockey in the year. I don't know. I understand that ESPN also has college football obligations. Right. That probably didn't work, but couldn't even get us a Friday night. Had to be a Tuesday night.
There's college football on Friday too. I think the big thing though is there's not a lot of basketball games and there's no football. Like, Tuesday is kind of the night where hockey can dominate the schedule, right? Mm-hmm. That's ESPN's, hockey night is Tuesdays, right? Like, they got NBA the rest of the week, and then obviously Monday Night Football and whatnot, and then college football on Friday and Saturday. So Tuesday is pretty much the day that they have to do it. I guess, us hockey fans would appreciate if it was maybe on a Saturday so we could enjoy it a little bit more. But that said, I think they're doing staggered starts, so you should be able to watch a lot of games, and there will be a lot kind of going on. I think I saw, is every single game starting at a different time?
Yeah, there's a 15-minute runoff between games. So not every game starts at the same time.
Yeah, and let me see when it all starts. I know that it starts with the Maple Leafs and the Capitals, so they kick things off. We're gonna watch it. We're gonna be able to see it right from the get go. But the Leafs and Caps puck drop at 6 p.m. Keep that in mind, folks. It's a 6 p.m. puck drop, and it'll be on TSN, I believe. It's showing me on NHL.com. You can watch on TSN4. But yeah, so it'll be a 6 p.m. puck drop. And then followed by 6:30, 6:45, 7, 7:15, 7:30, so on and so forth. until the final game of the night, which is Flyers and Golden Knights. That's an 11 p.m. puck drop for that game. Yikes! The Golden Knights trying to move to 7-0 on the year. But I think it's really cool, and I think this is hopefully enough people in the States are intrigued by this and do kind of peek over and see, all right, what's this all about? It's a red zone for hockey. It's going to be the best of the best in hockey. You're going to show fights. You're going to show big hits. You're going to show goals, power plays. Like they're going to show the best parts of the game, I would imagine. I'm hoping that it does create a bit of a spark and some fanfare, and hopefully it does create some new fans, because that's what it's all about. The problem is, Dave, is it's on ESPN Plus, so you would have to be an ESPN Plus subscriber in order to get this Frozen Frenzy. Like there are 3 games that are being played like on ESPN, the actual channel, the main channel, and there's the games, the triple header, starting with Leafs and Washington, and then I think Pitt is the next game, and there's a nightcap there. But yeah, that's the only downfall, I suppose, is you do have to have an ESPN Plus account to be able to watch this. I'm not sure how many do or don't, but it would be cooler, I suppose, if you could just kind of flip it on and just be flipping the channel and stumble across it and then create new fans that way. But I guess beggars can't be choosers.
Yeah, broadcasters aren't usually keen on giving away things for free nowadays.
No.
And I mean, look at Red Zone now, right? I used to be able to watch it with my TSN subscription, and then they're like, you gotta get a TSN Plus subscription. I'm like, I don't have one of those, and just don't want to get another subscription on top of that. But I find other ways to get Red Zone.
Yeah, I mean, I'm subscribed to DAZN, so I got a DAZN subscription, so I'm able to watch it that way. But yeah, tis the year of 2023. Everyone needs a different subscription, so we're paying a lot more money nowadays for the content than we were in the past. But that's what we get for not wanting to watch ads, I suppose. But enough of that. It's gonna be cool. I'm excited for it. So it should be an interesting kind of experiment for ESPN. I'm hoping that they see some decent numbers and do this more in the future. But like I said, it all kicks off tonight with the Leafs and Capitals with a 6 p.m. puck drop. And with that, Dave, why don't we take a quick break? Let's come back and let's get into the game. We'll preview tonight's game. Leafs taking on Rasmus Sandin, fellow friend of the Maple Leafs, taking on him, Ovi and the boys. So we'll detail what the lines looked like in practice, because there are some changes. We'll tell you who's starting. And as always, we'll get to our 3 keys to victory tonight. So we'll do that all in just a moment. But before we do, let me tell you guys about one of today's show sponsors. And it's our good friends over at Game Time. You shouldn't have to worry about when you're buying your tickets to the next big event. Game Time is fast and easy way to buy tickets for all sports, music, comedy, and theater events near you, with killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views your receipt, and their best price guarantee. Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying tickets. Game Time is the only ticketing app that gives you complete peace of mind with your purchase. See the view from your seat before you buy, so you know exactly what to expect when you arrive. All-in prices show your total up front, so you know that you're getting a great deal without the hidden fees. Buy tickets in seconds with 2 taps. They're obsessed with finding ways to help you save money. Find exclusive flash deals and sponsored deals on tickets for football, basketball, hockey, baseball, concerts, and more. And the Game Time guarantee means that you'll always get the best price. If you find tickets in the same section and row for less, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Today's show is also brought to you by Sleeper. A new NHL season brings all sorts of possibilities. Matthews could score 50 goals, could hoist the Leafs, could hoist the Stanley Cup, and you could win big by playing daily fantasy hockey on Sleeper, the official daily fantasy app of the Locked On NHL Network. Sleeper is our number one choice for daily fantasy sports and especially daily fantasy hockey, because with Sleeper, you can win 100 times your cash in daily fantasy hockey contests. Fans can also play daily fantasy for anything else: NFL, NBA, MLB, all on Sleeper. Entries can be made in under a minute. All you have to do is pick whether studs like Crosby, McDavid, Austin Matthews, Mitch Marner, will they record more or less than their sleeper projections for things like goals, assists, saves, plus minus, and more in a given game. To win 100 times your bet on Sleeper, you need to correctly predict the outcome of 8 player stats. You heard me, Leaf fans. You can win 100 times your money playing the daily fantasy hockey with Sleeper. So start paying attention and nail your picks so you can start winning big. Use the promo code LOCKEDONNHL and you'll get up to a $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. That's code LOCKEDONNHL. See Sleeper's terms of use for details and location availability. Welcome back to the Locked On Leafs podcast. It's Mike DiStefano and Dave Morassutti. We are a daily Maple Leaf-centric podcast. You can find us wherever you stream your podcast from audio-wise, whether that be iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, wherever. You can also find us up on YouTube as well. It's Locked On Leafs. Hit subscribe. We really appreciate it if you leave a like on this video if you're enjoying it. Leave us a comment down below too. Are you excited about the possibility of this frozen frenzy? And how do you feel about tonight's matchup between the Maple Leafs and the Washington Capitals? And Dave, let's get right into it with a preview of tonight's matchup. Once again, a 6 p.m. puck drop. We need to stress that because people are going to flip the channel at 7 o'clock looking to sit down with their popcorn and beer, watch the game, and they'll already be in the middle of the first intermission. So it's a 6 p.m. puck drop tonight. Dave, I'll pose that question right to you first. What are you expecting out of this matchup?
Well, obviously,
Energy, Dave. We need more energy. Come on.
Okay. What does Joseph Woll have to, in this kind of a big opportunity for him, right? He was talking about the opportunity to get more starts, and he's like, if you asked me about this a couple of years ago, I don't think I'm ready for this. But now he believes he's ready, right? And it's easy to remember that he was picked in 2016, right? It's been a little while for him to get to the NHL. Obviously, pandemic, goaltenders generally take a little bit longer, and things like that. He was in college as well, but this is an opportunity for him to really go with the goal here, and I want to see how he responds to that challenge. Right? Obviously, it's one game. Can't overemphasize a little bit too much. I don't think if he wins this, he wins the starting job, but I think this is a stepping stone moment for him for sure. So that's definitely one thing I'm looking for. And then obviously the lineup changes. This is kind of what we saw in the last game. We're going to see it again against the Capitals. Namely, the nice Camp Domi line that I like so much is going to stick.
Yep. I know you like that. And then, hey, look, they look good, right? They started to build a little bit of chemistry there in that third period. And it's the best Domi has looked so far through the regular season. So why not keep them together? I think it's a good call by Sheldon Keefe to keep that as a line. We saw a little bit of a flip up top. Looks like Yarncroc is going to go and play with Matthews and Marner. Bertuzzi to play with Tavares and Nylander. So he does separate Nylander from Matthews and Marner to try and make sure that they've got 3 solid lines that they like. Gregor, Holmberg, and Reeves going to round out the fourth line, which means once again Fraser Minten finds himself out of the lineup. It was confirmed today at practice or Monday at practice that Minten is going to be a healthy scratch for a second straight game here. Got to think that when they're done on this road trip, he probably ends up getting sent back to Kamloops. No?
Yeah, I think so. It's just maybe he gets one more game if they feel like they want to do one more game for him. But yeah, I think it's almost a foregone conclusion. Let him go back, play if he makes hopefully makes the World Junior roster, has a good season over in Kamloops. I think I'm not like surprised, and I'm not disappointed either.
Well, I hope they don't go like the Shane Wright route where, they play him for a game and then don't play him for a little bit, healthy scratch him, and then a conditioning stint in the AHL,
No,
and
I
then
don't want
perfect timing, call him back up for a game, and then send him to the World Juniors to play. And it's like, what are we doing? Like, I hope that's not the avenue that they go with this kid. I don't envision that being the case. That doesn't seem to be the MO of this Maple Leafs organization. They haven't really rushed many prospects. So I would imagine that, he probably maybe he gets another game or two to after sitting up in the press box and maybe learning from the mistakes, being able to get a bird's eye view of things, realizing, okay, this is what I have to do. Maybe he gets a chance to see if he learned anything, if he can still stick around. But I would probably place my money towards him not finishing out the full 9 games before getting sent down. All right, so I'm excited about the possibility of this game because I mean anytime you get to watch Alex Ovechkin and Austin Matthews play one another, it's always very exciting. But I don't know if you've been paying attention what's been going on out in Washington. This team is not scoring goals. Like they've been abysmal offensively. Ovechkin still searching for his first goal. Won a couple of games last week without even registering a shot on goal. It's the first time in his entire career he went back-to-back games without a shot on net. And this team as a whole, 4 games into the year, just 5 goals. That's bizarre for a Washington Capitals team who at one point that's all they could do is score. So this could be an opportunity for Toronto's defense to kind of have a get right game. I think that's kind of what I'll be leaning on and watching for tonight is can that defense continue to keep this Washington offense, which is struggling mightily, at bay? Can they stay on top of pucks? Can they go and win some puck battles? Washington's not a fast team. I think they're a little old, they're a little slow, they're rebuilding in a way. And I think Toronto should be able to match up well against this roster. So that's one of the things that I'll be watching for tonight.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of nailed it there. I watched Washington when they played Ottawa last week, and they got bulldozed by the Senators.
Oh, the 6-1?
Yeah, 6-1. That was one of the games Ovechkin didn't even record a shot, which, like, he laid a nice hit in that game. I can't remember who he victimized on the boards, but
I've got him in one of my fantasy teams. Man, it's been a struggle. Tomorrow, I've got to decide whether or not, because all 32 teams are playing, so everybody's going to be in. Am I going to play this guy? Like he hasn't really done anything. Am I going to play him, or do I gotta have him take a seat for a guy like Huberdeau or Hyman or like it's I got a serious decision on my hands here.
But I think you're very much right about this Capitals team. You know who the youngest player on this Capitals team is?
No.
Rasmus Sandin.
You're kidding.
He is the youngest player on the roster at 23 years old.
Is Hendrix Lapierre not on this roster?
Not currently, no.
He's not playing. He might be down in the minors now or injured. Connor McMichael? Is Connor McMichael older than
He is older, or same age actually.
Wow, that's insane. That Rasmus Sandin. That just goes to show how old this team is, because Sandin's been around for a few years now. Like
exactly, he's not a rookie anymore, right? Like this is a team that has wanted to keep. I don't know even what window open. Like they haven't been a contender in a while, and they've gotten older. They should be trying to get some younger players. Now they did.
I think last year they did. Like they moved Dmitry Orlov. They traded away Garnett Hathaway. Like they made a couple of moves and then made that deal with Toronto to bring in Sandin, which again they brought in at the time. What was it, 22-year-old? Offensive defenseman who has some top 4 upside. So it was a bit of a gamble to bring in a guy like Sandin. So I think they're trying somewhat, but ultimately it's still a very old roster. And like the spine of that team, the Ovi, John Carlson, Kuznetsov, and Backstrom, like they're all up there in age now. They all are. So it's an aging. I think they're like the second oldest team maybe in the NHL,
I
second
believe
or third
so.
oldest team. Yeah, behind Pittsburgh.
It's not this team desperately needs to get younger. Like, here's the thing, like they kind of follow the Pittsburgh model where they feel like as long as Ovechkin's there, as long as Carlson and Backstrom, like they can't do rebuild. But that doesn't mean you don't have to keep some of these other guys. You could sell them off, get some assets, get some younger players, and play a bit of a different style. But like Spencer Carbery hasn't been a great start to his coaching tenure in the NHL. I mean, not all his fault, but at the same time, it's like, he was plucked from the Leafs. People are like, oh, it's a pretty good hire. And
well, I mean, he was expected to come in and help this team offensively, right? Become an offensive team. And, he did great things for the power play for the Maple Leafs. Curious to see what their power play is right now. I would imagine it's not very good. They've only scored 5. They haven't scored on the power play. They have 0 power play goals so far through 4 games. So, yeah, that's not a good look for Spencer Carbery, former assistant with the Maple Leafs, in his first couple of games behind the bench.
Yeah, so like that's one thing I'm looking at here is he's got to figure out how to get that offense going.
You do know that this means that they're definitely going to score a power play goal tonight against Toronto, like 100%.
We already know. Not only just a power play goal, Ovechkin's probably going to score. You're probably going to bench him in fantasy. He's going to score, and we're going to come back here, and you're going to say that regret you're going to have about benching Ovi. It's one of those things, right? But as you said, like for the Leafs, they've always struggled when a team has had it's down, and especially in Washington, they've had a tough time sometimes playing in Washington. And this is a time where, again, you have a team that's down on its luck, really struggling offensively. Can they actually avoid the narrative that the Leafs always follow, which is not playing to their capabilities against a team like this?
Well, yeah, like I think the phrase you're looking for there is the fact that Toronto has been known to play down to their opponents. Are they going to do it once again, or are they going to rise to the occasion and show this Washington team who's boss? Because it should be the Maple Leafs. They legitimately lead in every single category. They've scored more goals. They've got a better power play, better penalty kill. They generate more chances, generate more shots. They've given up more goals. I guess you could say that because the goaltending has been kind of to start the year. But outside of that, Toronto has been and is like not only on paper, but on the ice. Your eyes would tell you the same thing, that Toronto is just the better team and should be able to get the win. With that said, Dave, why don't we take one more quick break? When we get back, we'll go through our 3 keys to victory for the Maple Leafs tonight and see if we can come up with a couple of ways that we believe, the Maple Leafs should be able to do if they want to get the dub tonight. And before we get into that, though, let me tell you about one of today's show sponsor, and it's our good pals over at FanDuel. Snap into the NHL season with FanDuel. It's North America's #1 sports book. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place a $5 bet. That's $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. If you're thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on the action. The app is so easy to use. There's a wide range of betting options, including the spreads, player props, over-unders, money line, and more. So visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn and kick off the NFL season. FanDuel, official partner of the Locked On Network. Welcome back into the Locked On Leafs podcast. It's Mike DiStefano and Dave Morassutti. It's a game day in Toronto. All 32 teams in action tonight, actually, as ESPN unveils its first ever Frozen Frenzy, which is sure to be an interesting little program. And it all starts with the Maple Leafs and the Washington Capitals with a 6 p.m. puck drop. Again, a 6 p.m. puck drop tonight for Washington and Toronto. The game is in Washington. That being said, Dave, what are a couple of keys for the Maple Leafs, do you think, for them to come out with the victory in tonight's game?
Well, you talked about the Capitals' lack of speed. I don't know if you saw the NHL actually unveiled its new analytics website, NHL Edge.
Oh, I did not. We're going to
Uh,
need to talk about that tomorrow.
yeah, so just a quick summary of that. Basically, it shows a lot of like different, when they put the chips and the pucks and the jerseys and things like that to show different player stats. You can now see what the broadcast has been putting up, right?
Interesting.
And what it has shown is Washington Capitals are a very slow team, like really slow, one of the slower teams in the league. So if I'm the Leafs, try to use that to your advantage, the lack of speed of the Washington Capitals. Make them have to work for their chances, right? Don't give them don't turn the puck over and give them the short chances to transition, right? Make them
Yeah.
work for every offensive opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. That was one of mine as well, right? Like, this is a team that hasn't been able to get it going offensively, and you don't want to be the team to get them going offensively. Although, wouldn't be shocked if that's what happens, because that is how things seem to happen when it comes to the Toronto Maple Leafs. And when we say things shouldn't happen, typically it does. That being said, though, like, I think a way for them to make sure it doesn't, you're right, limiting turnovers, don't allow those quick strikes the other way, but also like, just make sure that you are staying on top of pucks, right? Like, if they're trying to transition, like, make sure that you are on top and you're getting back and the blue line is getting back and they're not allowing guys to get past them way too many times. And again, it's a little easier when you're facing a team that's not as fast as, say Tampa or Florida. But so many times over the last week, we've seen, players just like split the D and go in either on an odd man rush or the goal we saw by who's the little Alex Barboulay. He's just like a short, speedy guy who just kind of got in behind the goalie or got in behind the defenseman and got a good deflection in front of the goal. It went right between Samsonov legs, like something like that. Consistently has been happening all season long for the Maple Leafs. So I think just making sure that you keep everyone in front of you is going to be the best way to defend this team. And to me, that's one of the keys to build off of yours. What's another one?
They're struggling right now. Also, the Capitals a lot offensively, right? So the defense has got to get in those shooting lanes, because I feel like when a team is struggling to get things going offensively, they're gonna try to throw everything on the net, right?
Yeah, probably.
So if I'm the Leafs, like, you gotta get in those passing lanes. Like, the Capitals their MO is usually setting guys up in prime scoring areas, right? Especially on the power play. So the defense is gonna have to be sound in their defensive coverage. And our boy Frankie Corrado, love the breakdowns he's doing on, like, when the Leafs allow goals.
Yeah.
Showing where they've been, why the goals have usually been going in, and a lot of the times that the videos I've seen has been just defensive zone coverage, right? Blown coverages. You
Yep.
can't do that
That's what I was
against
talking
Washington,
about.
right? So you gotta be sound in your defensive zone coverage against this team. Yes, they're struggling to put pucks in the net, but if you give them opportunities, these are still well-named guys. Ovechkin is still a good name, right? Kuznetsov, Backstrom, Strome, even Tom Wilson. Like, those guys can score if you give them opportunities. So you got to watch out for that.
Yeah, and here's something too that I think the Leafs have lacked a little bit over the last couple of games. Um, let's have some more success in the face-off circle.
Yeah.
I feel like the last, this year they haven't been off to a good start. They're sub 50% in the face-off dot this year, ranked 21st. I mean, this is a club last year that was, I think, third all season long, pretty much, winning, over 54% of their draws. So, it's a pretty significant decrease so far this year. And I think is a big reason as to why they lost a couple of those games. Coming into tonight, again, they do have the advantage with the Washington Capitals, just 41% face-off wins on the year. So hopefully Toronto could take advantage and make this just a full-on get-right game for a lot. Get the defense right, get your face-off situation right, and then the goaltending, obviously, hopefully can sort itself out with that. And then, like, hopefully they could just build off of a solid game or solid third period against Tampa. Like, I'm hoping that Matthew Nyes and Max Domi, connect again at some point tonight, or at least look really good and dangerous during parts of this game. So I think that it should be a pretty easy win for Toronto. They are the better team, but it is somewhat of a revenge narrative. Like Spencer Carbery's going to have money on the board. Hey, let's go and beat my former boss in Sheldon Keefe. I know what he wants to do. We should be able to beat that. That's going to be the game plan for the Capitals tomorrow night. And if you're Toronto, got to make sure that you withstand that early push that they're going to give, and hopefully Joseph Wall comes to play much like he did on Saturday night, and they can withstand it and then start to establish their game. And if they do that, I think they'll dominate this one. All right, buddy. Any other final words you want to say about tonight's game, or anything else that's on your mind?
I'll see if Rasmus Sandin really tries to get under William Nylander's skin. He said during after practice that he feels like he Nylander's usually the calm, cool guy on the ice, but Sandin thinks he can get under his skin. I'm interested to see if there's any of that in this game.
All right, so a little Swede on Swede violence potentially tonight. All right, we'll keep an eye out for that as well. One more final reminder: it's a 6 p.m. puck drop tonight for the game, not 7 o'clock. So do keep that in mind when you're making your game plan to watch tonight's matchup. All right, that'll do it for us here today on the podcast. I'd like to thank you all for listening and supporting the show. You can subscribe to the Locked On Leafs podcast on all podcasts and platforms, including up on YouTube, and receive daily Leafs content. Follow myself on Twitter at Mickey_Canuck. Follow Dave at D_Morassutti. Follow the show as well at Locked On Leafs. Go ahead, smash that like button if you enjoyed the video here on YouTube. Leave a comment down below as well, or tweet at us if you enjoyed the show. I will be back with another episode for y'all tomorrow. We'll break down the matchup and kind of we'll see how the Frozen Frenzy went as well. And so we'll do that tomorrow. But until then, give lots right here on Locked On Leafs.